We have ourselves the Final Four. After a pair of compelling performances in the semis, the winning coaches are with us.
Long live the Demon King. Melbourne unveils its new coach with pledges to change the game plan rather than the list.
And Origin returns to the AFL landscape. League bosses pin their hopes on February to revive the long-dormant format.
Talked about is just step into it, embrace all of it.
Get in the room and fix it.
It's unedifying for a senior coach to do that.
They're on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of the season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do.
It's the stuff that legends are made of.
What is holding the ball? I don't think I could answer it clearly right now.
I could do something wrong, and I need to go. And the board sacks me.
The fans love it, and with no fans, no 360, right?
With our Final Four, Gaz, come the biggest prelims imaginable.
Four great teams, MCG Friday night and Saturday twilight. It has meandered a little bit, as we've talked about a lot, but it's going to come to a very pointy end this weekend. I can't wait. Both games present as blockbusters in every facet.
Record cumulative crowd for a prelim weekend is 172,000.
Yeah,
this will be a pair of 97s, 98s.
Blow that right out of the water.
Obliterate us.
We could do it on Friday night if it was big enough.
Yes, how good will it be? All right, our semi-final review. Chris Fagan and Sam Mitchell are going to join us as they look towards preliminary finals. On the couch to dissect all that happened with Jack Riewoldt, Jordan Lewis, Nathan Buckley and Jonathan Brown. Tomorrow night, our players, Patrick Dangerfield, the Geelong captain, and veteran Magpie defender Jeremy Howe. How is he faring on the track is the big question. Will he be ready for Saturday? Ray Chamberlain on the umpiring front. Our favourite pairing on Wednesday night, John Longmire and Adam Simpson, as well as Dave Hughes, is going to join us. Next Monday night is the second most important count on the calendar. Tonight we continue the most thrilling. The GVPs, the most valuable players in the estimations of Gary Lyon from the previous weekend's footy. At stake is the Mustang GT Fastback valued at $93,000. Iconic design, unreal performance, 5-litre V8 engine.
Oh, down to the pointy end now. I think our leader's out of contention. He didn't add to his tally on the weekend, Gerard. So this magnificent automobile is still up for grabs, as I understand it.
He's the clubhouse leader.
Clubhouse leader, yes.
Pending what you're about to do.
One vote, Jay Gunston Hawthorn. He was magnificent. God, he was great. I think he could be the story of the year when all is said and done. He's up to 70-odd goals. He kicked 5. He kicked the first goal of the game, Gerard. He kicked the first goal of the third quarter. He kicked the first goal of the fourth quarter. He got 5 on the board, and he didn't look like missing, and we talked to him post-game and looked like he wouldn't blow a candle out. So it is quite an extraordinary story.
Yep. A
prelim final again for this great footballer who's done it all before, and his finals record is unbelievable back in those halcyon days, grand finals especially.
Yep.
So he's a worthy one voter, which means that there's a couple that had extraordinary performances to go ahead of him. And his teammate, 2 votes, Jay Newcombe Hawthorn, just magnificent. He's just... he is the finals performer of the modern era, or the last 2 years. So the game started, and we're all looking at the centre bounce going, this bloke's going to be a factor. In the blink of an eye, Gerard, he had 4 centre bounce clearances.
Amazing.
They had 3 goals on the board, and it was just deja vu all over again. So what a player. 28 touches, 16 contested, 10 score involvements, 8 clearances, 6 centre bounce. I think he had 5 in the first quarter. 5 centre bounce clearances. So he could have easily got 3. But I just went for Jay Dunkley of the Brisbane Lions because of the opposition. Our leader was the opposition. I'm talking about Matthew Rowell. And I love that, and we'll talk to Chris Fagan about it. I love it when players go to coaches and say, give me him. I want the job on him. Now, I heard Fakes talk about it. We need more information and just how hard he banged the table because Rowell got his number when they did a number on the whole Brisbane Lions. And for someone like Josh Dunkley, I reckon that sits right in his guts. No matter how well he's going, he just can't have that hanging over his head until he fixes it, and he fixed it. He had 18 tackles, 20 touches, 4 clearances and kept Matthew Rowell to reasonable output. So apologies to Levi Ashcroft and Harris Andrews, I thought were outstanding. So we've got a 2-vote leader.
Matty Rowell, who's a sitting shot now. Dangerfield.
Crikey, yes.
Side bottom.
He could go...
Bailey.
He could tie it up. Bailey could
Dacos.
tie it up. Anyway, that's how it sits right now.
It's great.
It's a big responsibility.
It is. It's been so much fun to watch you try to deal with it. All right, let's get to the agenda, and it is loaded, but it must start with the footy itself. A pair of powerhouse performances in the semi-finals as two teams booked their passage to bigger things.
Sharpness of winning and losing just comes more to the fore when you get into the knockout stage, which it is now for all 6 teams. The agony and the ecstasy.
Our guys will go away with a scar there that's a pretty big one. It'll heal, but it hurts at the moment.
I sat here this exact table this time last year, heartbroken by the loss and the missed opportunity of what could have been, and I think everyone had a level of pain and understanding that getting that far is really difficult.
It's hard, I reckon. At the moment, you sort of look at the game, you're just so incredibly disappointed. You know, a whole heap of fans here, a whole lot of support, and you sort of feel like you've disappointed them.
It was a great response after last week. They keep responding, this group.
We always get a recency bias. What happened last weekend is always such a big issue, but it has little to do with what's going to happen next weekend.
All gas, no brakes. Just run a bit light on. Might have used all their gas last week. It looks that way, doesn't it?
Loman, no hair, absolutely no worries in front of big sticks. Gives the ball pops a rub.
Party time now.
Brisbane are still the kings of Queensland football. They are into yet another preliminary final.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of the group. You know, it's hard to make finals after you win a premiership, let alone get back to a preliminary final.
It is so abrupt. The finish is so abrupt. I am nowhere near ready for the season to be over in 5 days' time.
This is what you asked for.
33 points up against the side who's kicked 31 points for the game. It's just about out of control.
To seal a famous Hawthorn finals victory.
And now it's to a blockbuster preliminary final against Geelong. Talk about ancient grudge.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd.
It's pretty exciting time to be a Hawks fan and to be the Hawks coach or a Hawks player or a Hawks staff member. And I think everyone goes into work Monday pretty optimistic and hopeful of what we can achieve. But the prelim weekend is not the aim.
You know, we're just playing match play right now. No, we don't know who our next match play is against. But I know one thing, that next time we play, there's only 4 teams left. 4 teams left.
The billing has taken shape, and the Brisbane Lions and the Hawks to be a part of that. So Geelong and Hawthorn on Friday night at the MCG. Storied rivalry. And then the protagonists from one of the great grand finals 2 years ago meet again. The Lions first. Talk about marking your territory, which is what they did on Saturday night.
Well, just look at those 4 teams. God, they've been great footy sides over a long journey, and that sort of sums up what we're about. You'll hear us talk as commentators about, it looks like a sort of a game, and as this game started, after the first 2 goals that went Gold Coast way, it just looked like a Brisbane Lions kind of game, and that's to the credit of the whole team. And that man there, Chris Fagan, and their role players within it. So, I mean, I can look through the numbers. 100-plus marks for Brisbane is a benchmark. They took 90 against Geelong, lost. They're back to 115 marks. Their clearance domination was there. They're plus 18 clearance, plus 6 centre bounce. And then all the names you're ticking off, Rayner, Ashcroft, McCluggage is back doing what McCluggage should be doing. Berry was great. So Ben King kicks the first 2 goals of the game, and then they roll Harris over him, and just that was the end of the story from that point of view. And then Josh Dunkley goes to Rowell and does his job. Zorko starts picking off kicks through the middle of the ground that no one even thinks about, let alone attempts. And they were just over the fingernails, and then they're away, and it just kind of it was like a puzzle that was slowly coming together, and then it just went clunk. And by that stage, 53 points later, game over. No shame in it from a Gold Coast Suns point of view. They'd come to the end of a fantastic journey for them, whereas this team, they're not near the end. They're just sort of getting back into business, and it just reminded us how much depth there is through the middle of the ground, Gerard, which is going to be their strength, and they're going to need a little bit of luck up forward, and Loman looked dangerous again, and Rayner looked at his imposing best. Their back half solid enough, so... That's the way I read it. What about you?
Heart, fight and pride.
Yeah.
They weren't ready to fold their premiership defence. So they've had every reason across a couple of months just to start to have the back broken. And each time they have been challenged by it, they've said, nah, we're not done yet. So now to the MCG, the big stages. They're doing it with that. It's a little bit makeshift as well as the depth that you've mentioned, but not to concede to the crosstown rival and not to fold what is a big premiership defence.
They're not folding anything, Brisbane, which makes Saturday night or Saturday twilight unbelievably anticipated.
Hawthorn, just compelling and complete what they have going on at the moment.
Yeah, I just got consistently know what we're going to get from them. And when you get to that stage as a team, you know you've got a bloody good footy side. And so you can trust them to come out and serve up what they served up. And so from the middle of the ground to Gunston, who consistently doing it, McNewcombe's consistently doing it, with support cast, by the way. And that's the other thing. You know, they're tough. They're in tune. They know what each other is required of each other at any given time. They're balanced and even, and they're playing their role. So, you know, you go to Ward in the middle of the ground. So you go, OK, are they a bit skinny and a bit light on through the middle of the ground? Well, no, because Ward comes in and plays arguably one of his best games. Their back half's really, really settled. It's going to be hard to score against them, and they're doing stuff in the front that you just wouldn't have expected at the start of the year. So they're in a good place. When you get to that stage as a footy club and you go, I don't know, win or lose, but I know what I'm going to get from them, that's where they're at, the Hawthorn footy club.
That back seven, so Barras and Battle are doing exactly what they brought them in to do, so they're the additions. Scrimshaw and Sicily are still intercepting everything. Hardwick's just impossible to get past. Eamon and Impey are running like few others, and then you've got Weddle, who's doing all sorts of bits and pieces. What a wild card he has been to add late to the puzzle.
Yeah, and just gets better and better. You know, there's a little recipe there that if he, you know, he's only had 2 games back now, but if he starts to look a little bit weary, just throw him forward. Let him do dangerous thing down there. He's a damn dangerous wingman when he's in the goal square.
They have shared 14 of the past 24 premierships, these 4 teams.
If he plays on Ollie Dempsey, they'll both be in opposite end of goal square. They won't see each other.
I rather like that. So the losers, and they were totally different in character. Adelaide have gone out in straight sets. They played both finals at home. They didn't win a single quarter.
Great home and away team, terrible finals team, and they've got to live with that. That's just the reality of life. Finish on top of the ladder, it says you're a great home and away team. You go out in straight sets and you don't win a quarter, it says you're a horrible finals team. You know, I was over there a little bit earlier than you and, say, reading paper, talking to people. I thought this is not within the Adelaide walls, but the town itself, to me, were preparing for failure. There was a preparedness for it. There was excuse, mate. Oh, you know, we finished on top. Even if we go out, it'll be a good effort. Oh, yeah, but we haven't got ASAC rank. And he's going to... And I'm just thinking, gee, that's not the attitude you want. You know, you think, is there going to be a response? And then I watch this. So we sit ourselves down for the first passage of play of the game. What's the response? Get inside the jumper, be ferocious, don't concede anything. And then Keane just lets Gunston go. Jason called it. Look at him. This is the first play of the game, Gerard. That is horrible. And that summed up Mark Keane's back half or back few games. I think he got ahead of himself, Mark Keane. Forgot to do what made him one of the best defenders in the... So all week you're living... We're not, you know, the criticism that come at you, we're not finals ready, our intensity isn't right. That's what you're living. And the very first play, Mark Keane just lets Jack Gunston wander up and just stands in the goal square doing nothing. Horrible sign. And from that, they did gather themselves. They gave up the 3 goals. They got 3 back, but then it was just chasing tail. So they weren't ready for finals footy. That's what all those other teams you talked about, Brisbane and Hawthorn, intensity. Collingwood, intensity. Geelong, they pressured the hell out of Brisbane in that first final. They were a mile off it, the Crows. So that's what they've got to live with over summer. And if you reckon that's harsh, bad luck. You can't do anything about it until next September.
It's an interesting introspective piece. Is 18 wins, so how do you rationalise that? Big failure at the end. They became very unbalanced, I think, on the field, in the coach's box and the club more broadly. Clearly the Isaac Rankin moment is a flashpoint to be reflected upon and all the actions that came afterwards, and only they'll know internally when they think about it all. But what to do? So how do you find your proportional response? Will it be different next year if they make their necessary improvement and present again for the assignment? or not? These are difficult ones. There's a couple of glaring holes in their list, which were probably suspected, and they get flushed out completely in September. How do you go about filling those? Do you have internal pieces that you can train up to that? Do you have to bring something in? Not the easiest post-mortem to run, I don't think.
I think they'll get another shot at it because they are a very good home and away team, and that is they'll put paid to most of the bottom half of the oppositions, which should allow them to get another crack at it. But gee, it's going to be a long summer.
Gold Coast, so the coming of age moments that they had, they've paid their rite of passage through the past few weeks.
Easy for us to shrug and nod our head and go, yeah, great effort. But I suspect that Damien Hardwick will take a much sterner line than that with this group. That if any of them have a sense that we've had a successful year, I reckon he'll tramp on that and tread on that really aggressively because, you know, we can say it, but I don't reckon the club need to stand for that. There's no reason to pat themselves on the back. They've got to get some support up in the front half. Ethan Reid had a really disappointing, didn't score in 2 finals, was subbed off in the second. Farah was played ahead of Walter for reasons that we know, but he's not a goal scorer. So you sit on King and you do a number on King, you sit on Rao, you do a number on one of either he or Anderson, and you're halfway there, I reckon. So they need some... Well, they might say Reid and Walter with natural development will be that support for King, but they need some numbers through the midfield. They need some support through the middle of the ground. So big step, big step for the Gold Coast Suns. We can say it. I think that's a successful year, but I don't reckon Damien Hardwick will be treading that line.
So I'm a bit like you. What does their forward line look like when they are ready to contend? Is that next year? Is Jamie Elliott part of it? Is Charlie Curnow part of it? The questions were rightly asked at the press conference in the aftermath, and I think in the days thereafter you'd be going, so natural progress, which I think... Or do we hypercharge it and try to rush into it next year?
Yeah, get aggressive, I would. Get aggressive. They've got plenty of picks to work with and they've got some talent that might be expendable, so go, get aggressive.
All right, away from the final series itself, those who are plotting to be there in future. Melbourne is at the front of that list. Stephen King was unveiled as the coach today, having won his way through to become the D's new mentor.
Without sounding full of myself or anything like that, I just feel like I bring a unique experience and skill set that people want to be around. I want my players to drive to work every day to be with a massive smile on their face, knowing they're going to be stimulated, have a lot of fun, but be challenged as well. And I honestly believe I want to play a brand of footy that's uniquely Melbourne, and I feel like I can adapt that to the skill set that our players have got. I feel like every staff member, every player should expect to play finals next year, and I hope... I'd be really disappointed if that wasn't an expectation. I think the experience that we've got here, I want to try and keep those experienced players here for as long as possible because premiership players don't grow on trees, and to have them on your side while you're bringing in the youth of tomorrow and today, that's going to be a really important part of the way I want our team to play.
Reinvigorate what's there was the message that the club has been speaking about for 6 weeks, and their new coach very much in tune with that. The most thorough grounding and pedigree you could get through the assistant coaching system, with a little taste of it at Gold Coast. What did you sense as you were watching his inaugural press conference?
So all we could ask for at the start was to go and run the process, and that was what I hope they did, and I think a lot of people did, and you will arrive at your best candidate, and this is the man that they've come up with, Stephen King. So that's great and it's exciting, and I wish him all the best, and there's a buzz around the joint and there's all excitement that comes with being a new coach. I suspect it's a really difficult one because he's got another team that are playing for a premiership here, so I can't imagine what's going through his mind at the moment. Like he has, and he will commit to Geelong because he's that sort of person, but in any spare moment that he's got, it will turn to Melbourne and what I need. And he talked about list and style and all that sort of stuff. He needs to get his feet under that desk and work out exactly what that is and exactly where that sits with some of the players on that list. But good on them for running it, and good on Stephen for getting the opportunity to be the coach of the most traditional footy club in the comp.
Is it the right strategy to, if they can, hold it all together, change the game plan and see what it amounts to?
I suspect that that's going to be totally up to him. I think that the game plan was beginning to evolve anyway, as we've talked about a lot. I like the way he spoke today about what sort of what the modern game demands, and so you get a whole new lens over that, and that can invigorate players. You know, they might be pigeonholed in certain areas on a style of footy that's been played for a long time. So No, I think he'll work through all that, and then you talk about players and game plan. I suspect it's going to be a bit of both, isn't it? I would suspect there'll be some change, and that's a good thing too.
So those who work the trade beat and Tom Morris and John Ralph, just the gentle whispers around Christian Petrarca, that perhaps the club and player willing to both have a look if they can find the right circumstance this time around. Not gun-to-head stuff, not absolutely essential that it happens, but both gently open to the idea.
I suspect there's one of three ways. There's the Essendon no, which was the line they took last year. Then if it's moved again, that's no, unless. And that is something that can turn your head. And it's going to be a win for the football club because they control where Christian can go by virtue of the long-term contract, or get your best deal and let's talk. I suspect it's probably somewhere between 1 and 2. Nah, not under any circumstances, unless you can turn our head. And if they can turn their head, maybe they can get a deal that is good for Christian and good for the footy club. But I also want Stephen King to get in there and have a good sit-down with Christian Petrarca. I mean, it's all good and well, journalists talking to players, talk to that bloke there who's between us. He's the one that holds the key to Christian Petrarca. And I would imagine if I'm a new coach, he'd be one of the first blokes I want to sit down to and go, right, where are we at here? I know you can play. I know you can change games. What's going on in your head? Might be a 5-minute conversation where they both fall in love with each other and away they go. So don't worry about what anyone else is saying or what other players are saying. Worry about what that bloke right there thinks.
Yeah, there's been a tendency to run Petrarca down, which I found odd the whole way through. He led their Brownlow voting last year despite the horrific injury that he suffered just beyond the halfway point of the season, and he's just run second in the best and fairest behind Max Gawn. You're not going that terribly.
No.
Not in Melbourne's eyes anyway.
No, that's right. So, if Stephen King wants Christian Petrarca as part of his plans going forward, then the number 5 will be there in round 1, I'd reckon.
The boss, Andrew Dillon, got his passion project up. He's wanted State of Origin to allow the best to play with and against the best in a showpiece of the game that we used to know, reinvented for the modern era. It will happen in February in Perth.
Like the All-Stars game earlier this year, when the players buy in, the clubs buy in, and then the fans buy in. So we're really looking forward to it, Eliza. Origin football is the pinnacle of my footy career. I played in a couple of grand finals, but it's in my top 2 or 3 because I grew up on it. It was in my DNA. It was certainly something that I'm still very proud of. And I feel that they're missing something in their football careers, that they don't have that opportunity. Now they do.
And this has been your passion project as well. Righto, it's there. How does it work?
Yeah, over to the players now. It's over to you. You've said all year, we've spoke to every player we interviewed, we talked to and said, you want State of Origin footy? Overwhelming. We overwhelmingly want it. Darcy Moore, the Players Association president, says, we all want the footy. Well, here's your opportunity. So put your money where your... or put your mouth where your money is, really. Put your hand up. I think it's going to be sensational, Gerard. And the bottom line, to make it work, it's got to mean something. And it's got to matter. It's got to matter who wins and who loses in these state games. And that's what we've got to build. And Western Australia, Victoria get the first crack at it. South Australia will be as shirty as all hell. I can already hear the South Australians over there going, what about us? You'll get your chance. I suspect the winner will play South Australia somewhere down the track. Let's work out who is the best footy state going around. Make it matter. And give these blokes the opportunity for Patrick Cripps and Zach Butters and Nick Dacos to finish their careers as Victorian and West Australian players. I think it's absolutely magnificent. But over to the players. The coaches, we'll have the coaches here. They'll probably be lukewarm on it. That's okay. I understand exactly where they're coming from. But you said you wanted it all along. The AFL have now backed you up. And let's make this thing enormous on the 14th of February. Western Australia and Victoria.
All right, that's a good catchment of players to be choosing from right there. So let's see. Our final note in the agenda is South Australia has endured the loss of its greatest ever player, Barry Robberin, a couple of months ago, and now Max Bashir, who it's said is nobody did more for South Australian footy post the war years than Max. He served in every position imaginable in South Australian footy through to the SANFL. He is a member of the Australian Football Hall of Fame. He was the president of the local league for 25 years from 1978 to 2003. He was the driving figure behind establishing Football Park as a base. He played critical roles in the Adelaide Crows and Port Adelaide becoming part of the AFL, whilst also protecting what was going on in his home state. His name is emblazoned on one of the stands at Adelaide Oval. He passed away aged 98, and he is a leviathan
legend
of South Australian football.
He is.
Salute to Max Bashir. All right, let's bring in our coaches as we look towards these preliminary finals and review what has just transpired. Winner stays on. Sam Mitchell joins us. Winner joins in. Chris Fagan. So they know each other so well, intertwined through many a final series in the past. Mitchell and Fagan next.
Smooth Moves, brought to you by Jamison Whiskey.
Semi-final weekend was sprinkled with some magic moments, maybe none better than the Wizards at his mercurial best on Friday night. How he got that to bend in, it did so much through the air, and he did know who to share it with along the way. And only just behind some of what Will Ashcroft did, his first of 2 goals in the second quarter. Smoothest moves from not only 2 of the best youngsters in the game, but just 2 of the best players in the game who look so set for September. Our coaches, we said winner stays on. Sam Mitchell, great to have you back, part of your Monday routine.
I hope so.
And winner joins in. Chris Fagan, welcome.
Thanks, Gerard. How are you, Gary?
2 old comrades who know a thing or two about preliminary finals together, aren't you?
Yeah, I've learned a lot from Fags over the years, and not sure he's helping me too much at the moment, being that there's only a couple of teams left, but certainly proud of what we're doing, but it doesn't happen without a lot of people helping you along the way, and Fags is certainly in that list.
Are you confident that Fags' winning chances when you sat down to watch him yesterday on Saturday?
Yeah, I've watched Fags and the Lions for the whole time he's been there, of course, and building the club right up from base, basically, and they're there every year now. I think there's 7 in a row for finals, and they play good footy.
Just satisfy our curiosity here. There's probably a little bit of risky, but the last piece of vision before your players left the meeting room on Friday night has us deeply intrigued. I'm not quite sure how much you'd be prepared to give away. What are they watching?
I didn't know this was on the run sheet, and I would love to tell you, but it's the players' moment, so I'll let them. If they want to give that away to you guys, you can ask them, but it's not my place to pass it on.
That's got me more intrigued. Now, I'm watching Jarman Impey there. He's very excited about it, so if I run into him, I will ask him. But it certainly did the trick, because you come out and jumped out of the blocks in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, the boys have started some games really well. I think we felt really well prepared for last week, and when you play away, Adelaide that's about as hostile as it gets at the moment. That stadium is a phenomenal place to play football, and being on the other end of it, every time we play there, you always want to get off to a good start, and we put 3 on the board pretty quickly, but they equalised it, so we had some challenges in the game.
Fags, when you sent your boys out to play on Saturday night, what was your level of confidence that they were still ready, willing and able to get it done and continue this premiership defence?
Yes, Jerry, we've been through quite a few battles this year and challenges. So in the back of my mind, I've sort of always been wondering, are we just going to get to that point where we run out of gas? But the great part about it, I could tell from pretty early in the game, even though the Suns got the jump, that the boys were keen to keep their season alive and keep going. So we've taken a lot of confidence out of that performance. We've recovered well from it. We didn't get any injuries on the weekend. So I think we're in as good a shape as we can be going into the game against Collingwood on Saturday night.
How big a performance is it? As there hadn't been a premiership team win a final for so many years, let alone get to a preliminary final. How big an effort has it been to shoulder it all and get back here?
I suppose that's probably something more that other people can maybe judge. I mean, we've just been very week by week. We've had obviously a challenging draw coming into finals. We played mostly all the teams that are in the top 8 or were fighting for a spot to get in there. So it's been hard fought to get there, which is good in a way. And we're just looking forward to seeing how we go this week, enjoying the opportunity that we've created for ourselves and giving it our best shot. Who knows how far we can go, but we haven't got any limits on ourselves, that's for sure.
What do you say to your boys from a preliminary final point of view? Your record's spectacular as a player, first as a coach. What do you say to them?
We had a bit of a chat about the event of it all today, and to me, preliminary final weekends are so loud. Out of the 98,000 that'll probably be there, probably 95,000 barrack for one of the teams. A bit different to the next week, and so the noise the silence when it's that time and the noise for either team scoring is phenomenal. It's one of the great games to play in. So embrace the experience and enjoy everything that it brings, but don't forget it comes down to playing the right way at the right time.
The confidence that you both must have in your group to handle whatever gets put in front of them, though. I mean, this is where your team's at right now. It's like we sort of know what we're going to get from them, whether it's going to be good enough, the game will determine it. But that must give you great faith. I mean, here's your history. You seem to get your head around it pretty well. Are you confident in your group's ability to handle it?
I mean, I think we've had a lot of, a bit like Fags, we've had a lot of stresses and challenges through the year and a lot of close games that have gone our way and then some other ones that haven't. It hasn't been. We haven't played many games where you've got to sit back and enjoy the last 10 minutes of the game. Just about every game we've played has been still going right to the wire. So I think our players are pretty feeling confident about the fitness levels in the team and how we can run out a game. But, you know, we come up against a pretty seasoned outfit that I don't think they'll be getting too tight either.
We'll talk about the rivalry in a moment. So, Fags, tell me about Josh Dunkley. And we just talked about him earlier in terms, I love it when we hear stories about players that come into the coach's office and say, give me him. You know, in this instance, I want Rao because of what had happened previously. Is that how it happened or is that just a bit apocryphal or talk us through that?
No, Josh is a very proud man, and we've played 3 games against the Gold Coast this year. Back in round 8, Josh had the job on Rowell and I think kept him to 1 clearance, and then in round 20 when we played him, Josh had the job on Rowell and Rowell had 15 clearances, and Josh was none too happy about that, and I think he was just waiting for this opportunity. He's an extreme competitor, and you know he doesn't like lowering his colours to anyone, even though that happens from time to time. And you know, he was pretty quick to come in last week and say, oh, you know, if you're okay with it, I want to take Rowell. So that's the pathway we went down, and he didn't let us down. He had 18 tackles and did some superb defensive work as well as help with our offence. And I think according to our statistics, he had 24 tackles. But there you go. It was a big effort. I'd never seen that before.
No, it was unbelievable. I thought he was just so pivotal to what you were doing on the night, tackling them into submission as a team.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for him to wander in this week and put a name up on the board?
I'm not sure whether he will or not. I mean, the last time we played, he did some work on Nick Dacos around stoppages. He's a really hard matchup, so we'll have a bit of a talk about whether that happens again or it doesn't. But we always know that with Josh, we can go to it in the middle of a game and he'll do his best to get the job done, whatever it is.
The rivalries here are absolutely perfect, Fags, as you played probably the best grand final since 1970 against this team 2 years ago, and the recent encounters have been enthralling. What's your view as these things live sort of between clubs sometimes, but this is between player groups? What's your view of the rivalry with Collingwood right now?
Oh, look, I think it's a very, very, very strong rivalry. It's been building over the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously, that grand final has brought it to a head. Collingwood had been able to win the next few games after that grand final, and then we were able to get a win the last time that we played. You know, we're very disappointed about what happened in 2023, and it's still in the back of our players' minds, even though we were able to salute last year. What happened in 2023 was a real disappointment, so hopefully that fires us up for this week, and we can produce our best footy, because that's what we'll need to do against Collingwood, who will be there in front of about 90,000 of their fans, I guess, and they'll be screaming their lungs out. So it'll be a loud stadium, and there'll be a lot of pressure on.
So many generations of Hawks and Cats have been rivals from 63 to the 80s and 90s. Your generation as a player, now it renews again. What has the rivalry meant to you before we talk about the club?
I mean, historically, my playing career, we obviously won the 08 premiership, probably against the odds that year, and then I think they won 10 in a row after that. So there's actually there's some couple of great moments, the preliminary final in 2013 and the grand final. But we lost the final after the siren, and we lost that 10 in a row, and most of those were close games. And actually, ironically, Fags was a big part of turning that all around. So you can reflect on all of that, and I would say we probably have 8 or 10 of our players are Hawks fans when they were kids, and it's right in the era when they were watching footy and loving footy and living living by it. So, guys like Dylan Moore and Jack Scrimshaw, I think they have to remember that they're players still and not just a part of the scenery this week.
What is it about Geelong? I mean, their record's pretty good against you, and we know Chris Scott, hard to coach against. What is it about them that makes them such a difficult opposition?
Oh, I mean, they're just so consistently good. I mentioned in my press conference after the game, they're annoyingly good. I think everyone is pretty sick of seeing them at this time of year. But, I mean, the same could be said for arguably all 4 clubs that are here at the moment. So, hopefully it's our turn to send them off. But, they're pretty consistent in the way they go about it. They've got some really role-driven players who are enormously talented. And Chris does a good job of getting the best out of whatever the talents of his players are.
On an injury front, were you all there when the moment happened to Luke Bruce on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously filled, most of us, with melancholy, and but there was a strange bit of beauty about it. We went down into the rooms, and David Hale and myself and Jared Ruffhead and Taylor Duray, who was with the Bulldogs, and Jack Gunston. There was probably 6 or 7 of old premiership teammates who all sat in the change rooms with him, and then a whole bunch of the current players that were there. We all sat in there with him and watched him get strapped up and get sorted out, and he was amazingly pragmatic. He was already saying, I've had a great run. I've never missed more than 6 or 8 games in a row. The game doesn't owe me anything. I'll be fine. So other than poor Anthea, who's going to have to look after him for another 6 months when she's meant to be getting looked after now, but he'll have surgery, I think, tomorrow. So it's not a great way for him to finish, but he's been a phenomenal player for us.
He was your travelling emergency. If you had an injury, would he have been a chance to play?
Yeah, he certainly would have. We came out of the injury front pretty strong out of the weekend, but he was right in the mix for performances, particularly around the sub role. We think there's a bit of an X factor there, which he always brought a level of stability to it. I think CJ's doing a fabulous job of that at the moment, but it wouldn't have taken much to get him in the side.
You had a couple that were you just had to check up on, so Gunston and...
Yeah, Gunston, Guinea, and they and probably Jarman, they all did a really good job getting up for the weekend, and the 6-day break probably meant they just got to the line. So I'm really pleased we were able to give them a little bit of time off at the end of the game, and they all recovered well, and scans all clear. So pretty clean bill of health for this week.
You sweat on scans at this time of year, I'm sure.
Oh, I did.
Fags, Lockie Neal's giving himself a chance. Are you taking him seriously?
Oh, yeah, I've got to take him seriously. I mean, he ran quite well on the weekend, and, he's doing all that he can to be right in the event that we're good enough to win this weekend and get to a grand final. He obviously won't play this weekend, but he wants to give himself every chance, and we'll give him every chance. Why wouldn't we? But he's got a few hurdles to get through.
Are we underestimating Will Ashcroft as a footy group, given that he's still in his football infancy, but he's got a Norm Smith medal. He tore another big final to shreds on the weekend. How good is he? How good can he be?
Yeah, he's good, getting better all the time, Gary. He's one of those young blokes that just works so hard at his game and so hard at his craft. He takes on board feedback really well. He's playing with greater intensity this year, I reckon, using his speed a little bit more. You probably would have noticed that lately with the way that he's been playing, and he's just a great all-round footballer and he's got that added bonus. He's got great footy intellect. So no, he's going really well for us at the moment, and he does love the big occasion.
And John Newcomb's 18 in the Gary Ayres medal voting out of a possible 20, and he's rated the top player in all 4 finals that he's played. So September seems to agree with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty consistent. I mean, even his bad games this year, he's had some games where he hasn't blown the stat sheet apart, but he always plays his role and gets his job done. So, and he's not dissimilar to Dunkley, where you know what you're going to get from these guys. They've got a couple of roles that they can go to, and they can play on some other players as well. And he's obviously been first class, but I think that he's very well rounded. I think this year his defensive elements of his game, which don't go on the stat sheet as often, but we've been wrapped with the form of his season, in particular the second part of it.
A couple of the stars from the semi-finals. The winning coaches are with us. Sam Mitchell and Chris Fagan will broaden out in a moment. What's their view of Origin as it comes back onto the footy landscape in February? And then on the couch, the dissection of what transpired and how it sets up the run for this Premiership Cup. Jack Riewoldt, Nathan Buckley, Jonathan Brown and Jordan Lewis next.
Is what Sam Mitchell's doing fair? Reasonable?
Oh, well,
Has it angered you?
Well, I think the world's changing. You know, there'd be a time and a place in which I'd be, you know, pretty disappointed, but the reality is now the gloves are off and all's fair in love and war, and that's the path they want to go down, then, you know, we'll play at that game too.
No regrets? My job is to win as many games as I possibly can as the coach of this club and to improve this club in any way I see fit, so I'll continue to do that.
So you're a tough guy, like you really rough.
Are you upsetting your peers with your aggressive recruiting strategies?
I mean, I'm not sure, but that's not part of my brief as the coach of a football club. I'm sure Fags will back me up on this, or I'm putting him making it hard for him not to. But I think every coach is trying to improve their list the best way they can, and it's not the focus of this minute, but it is part of our job.
Shall we get his judgment?
Yeah.
Fags, is this all fair in the modern context, or is it too brazen?
Look, let's think about this realistically. You know, if there are players at other clubs that want to come to your club, one of the things you need to do before that actually occurs is you've got to have a conversation, and it just has to happen. You know, it's like you don't go to a new job without first of all exploring all the elements to it and what it might entail. And so for me, it's a difficult one because I think we do all need to talk to these guys that want to move clubs, and the best people to talk to them is coaches to find out whether you're a match and whether you think that person's going to fit in your club and whether he thinks he can fit in with you. So it's I don't know. I think it's a really tough issue at the moment. We all go shock horror, but you know, all of us at some point in time when we've been coaches, we've spoken to guys from other clubs who might want to come to your club.
So you're all consenting adults, but are you at all mindful of what it does in the wake of it, where a captain and a club are now on a war footing after you've met with them?
Oh, I mean, that's not for me. I'm not going to get into specifics of this case. You always have the well-being of anyone that you're dealing with in mind, but my job is pretty clear. Make Hawthorn win. It's not to make anything else. So as long as I'm within the rules of that, then that's what I'll continue to do. And every club, every other coach will be doing exactly the same thing.
I respect that. Were you disappointed it got out publicly, or upset it was out into the public domain?
It didn't suit what we were after. We were preparing for a game 3 days later, so it wasn't ideal. But you know, I read the quote somewhere that you can walk and chew gum at the same time. I thought that was reasonably well said. You know, we spend most of our week preparing for the weekend, but you still have to have the next year and the next years in mind. Was it ideal? No, but it didn't seem to hurt us on the weekend.
Make your origin pitch here, Gaz.
OK, so it's back. It's February 14. You'll be acutely aware of it, you two coaches. You're going deep into September as it is. You're throwing unequivocal support behind State of Origin football, Fags?
I like the concept, Gary, and I think the players love it, so it's good from that perspective. I probably just have one concern. I was a little bit surprised that it's being played in February. You know, players are going through pre-season there. If we want the Origin concept to be like it was when you played, and they were fierce contests, I'm not sure that playing a fierce contest against another state in the middle of February is great preparation for an AFL season, and I worry that there might be some injuries in regards to that. But I would have thought it might have been better played in the middle of a season, had the mid-season break and put it on them when footy's at its peak.
But the players will go with your blessing?
Yeah, if that's what they want to do, yeah, I wouldn't stand in their way, mate. It's all those things, playing alongside players of high level of excellence would be an absolute highlight, and I wouldn't want to take that off them. But as I said, I'm just a little bit concerned about where it's been placed in the calendar.
Sure. And access to all your players but one?
Yeah, you can't. No, there's no Will Day available, but he's South Australian anyway, so you wouldn't be able to have him for this year. But I think it's a bit of a toe in the water for that time of year. I thought the All-Stars game was a fantastic weekend, and they played against Fremantle, obviously, so it didn't have the same rivalry. But I think if your players get to experience playing with the best, you definitely embrace that and hope they bring back a few lessons.
Stephen King is joining your cohort as of, well, wherever Geelong's season finishes. He was announced as the Melbourne coach today, Fags. If you're going to offer anything to the new rookie on the scene, what would you offer him from your coaching experience?
Oh, I would say make sure you get good people around you and that you have 2 or 3 mentors that you can really lean on, because coaching an AFL team is a very tough gig, and it feels lonely at times. So having a few people around you that you trust is very, very important.
What about you, Sam?
Oh, very, very similar. It takes a village to create the environment that you want and the culture that you want, and relying on people around you and making sure that you get the best people that you trust. You end up spending a lot of time in the departments where you feel you need to, and if you're doing that because you don't have the trust in your people, I think that makes it difficult. So once you get great people, then your job is so much easier and you get to do the parts where the rubber hits the road, and that's what the best coaches seem to be able to do.
How hard is it not to get beyond this week? Grand final weights, how hard is it to stay right here?
Oh, I think where we are right now, it's reasonably easy. You are tempted to think forward. Every preliminary final, I've had great conversations with old players about the last quarter and how you find yourself thinking ahead when you shouldn't be. But you've got to rely on staying in the moment. Our players are much more well equipped than we were a generation ago at mindfulness and being where your feet are and all those catch cries. So it's an exciting time to be alive.
It's great.
All right, winner stays on.
Yeah, happy, always. It's worked for me, that, so I'll keep coming back.
All right, terrific, Sam. Fags, good luck. We'll see you in Melbourne on Saturday night.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gerard. Thanks, Gary.
Good on you.
Chris Fagan and Sam Mitchell with us on Coaches Night. Tomorrow night it's Players Night, so the other side of the equation. Geelong captain Patrick Dangerfield and Magpie veteran Jeremy Howe. It might be a tenser week for Howe than for most. Got to be fit to perform, not just fit to play.
NAB Goal of the Year nominees.
Time to vote because it gets announced on Brownlow night. The NAB Goal of the Year nominees for 2025. Will Ashcroft, that was round 4 at the MCG against the Tigers.
It's like those Brownlow plunges that happen after a player plays well in the finals. That becomes better after his game.
That's right. Sam Flanders from the Suns against the Dockers in the wets on the sunny coast. That was a beauty in the moment that it was kicked. And then circumstantially, this is the best goal of the trio.
Now, so Noah's
on the burst with the game on the line. Noah Anderson did the business. So it's an all-Queensland affair. It's a Q clash for the goal of the year for NAB. Now, for every goal this September, $1,000 will be added to the NAB Goals giveaway prize pool. And at the end of each match, one lucky NAB customer could take the whole lot away. So there's 3 games left, 3 chances to win. Scan the QR code on the screen now.
Outstanding work, Gerardo. Not too phased, our Hawthorn coach. He's just doing what's best for Hawthorn.
Just win.
Every coach should do that.
I think the only thing that might have bothered him might have been the music choice.
Yeah, that went right over my head.
Yeah, so I think Jake is responsible for our music, I think. He's got a little bit to answer for. He went with Billie Eilish, Bad Guy, which didn't pass unnoticed, I think it's fair to say.
Went past me, but didn't go past him.
All right, let's see what's on the couch, shall we? And we'll see you tomorrow night. Let's join Jack Revolt.